Okay. Second try. Facebook has been moving around how you go live. Perfect. Now I'm getting the signal that we are actually live. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Facebook is always updating features, and I'm never quite sure if I'm clicking the right button anymore. So we're here. That's what matters most. By request, I'm also going to put this up on Instagram as well. So let me get that loading. Well, hi everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for being here live if you are live, and otherwise, if you're catching the recording, as always, feel free to let me know. I know that there are some new people in the group, so if we make sure I've got this going. There we go. Yes, if you are new to the group, welcome to the group. I'm very excited that you are here. If you've been in the group for a while, you've caught some of my recordings before. Hello again. I am super excited to talk more about marketing therapy intensives today. It's one of the most frequently asked questions that I get, and particularly, I know some people are thinking about with the traditional summer slump that's kind of coming up when it comes to your weekly clients, your biweekly clients. You might have people who are traveling or taking a pause, or maybe you work with college students or even other students that are kind of transitioning away. So thinking about how can I maybe leverage therapy intensives so that, your income isn't taking a ginormous dip. So definitely want to cover all things marketing today, and maybe even some creative marketing strategies you might be able to use so that you have more people booking intensives this summer. So again, if you are new to the group, if you are new to me, my name is Amanda. I'm a licensed psychologist in Oregon. I've been doing intensives for over a year, and they have been huge for allowing me to work less, bring in more consistent income, and then eventually expand into providing some more coaching services so that I can support you all in doing this as well. So I have got my notes pulled up over on this side of the screen. So if I'm not looking at the camera, that is where I'm looking. Please feel free to comment live if you are here live, and I will get to your questions as I see them. Sometimes there are glitches in the technology and people have commented and I haven't seen things, which is obviously a bummer because I want to um, answer those questions live if I can. So if I don't see them, if I don't get a chance to answer them, feel free to just comment on the recording of it when the recording posts, and I'll make sure I get those answered for you. So some of you all already kind of know what intensives are. Some of you are a little bit newer to intensives. So I want to talk about real quick, just generally what they are. I'm going to bust a myth that, intensives are not these, you're doing therapy for like 8 hours in one given day kind of thing. They can be so much more creative than that. Even a 90-minute therapy session is a therapy intensive. And there are some people who work three 90-minute sessions in a week, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like that is definitely a way of working in this intensive therapy model too. So this can really be whatever you make it. No, you do not have to be trained in EMDR or brain spotting. Yes, you can apply this to couples work, group work. You can be really creative when it comes to therapy intensives. So why are we talking about therapy intensives? Especially as we're getting ready for the summer to come up, right? Like therapy intensives are great for not only people who are looking to deep dive into therapy, people who have had kind of like a plateau in their therapy and they're looking for something different, they're looking for something more, they're looking for something they haven't tried before, something that's unique. And therapy intensives fill that gap in a lot of ways, right? Like we're not limited by the clock. We are opening things up. A lot of people do have some really cool integrative and holistic trainings that they're incorporating into a therapy intensive. So we've got all of that going for us. But all of the same pain points for intensives in terms of it's for the person who wants to do the deep dive, it's for the person who has felt stuck in therapy, it's for the person who feels like they don't even have time for weekly hour-long therapy, that it costs too much to get together like childcare and to go drive somewhere and take time off work and all of that. All of those similar things apply to the summer that's coming up, right? Like there are a ton of people who are getting their travels in, seeing family, prepping for. There are still some people taking like summer classes. There are some people where their work is busier in the summer than actually outside of the summer. So summer is still a really great way to do some intensive work, and it's a great reason to do some intensive work. I've had people who have contacted me who have said things around summer that feel more time limited, where they want to do some more, again, time intensive work. So, weddings that are coming up, if people are wanting to do an intensive before a wedding, big moves or career changes that are coming up, if people are needing some more support before that. I've had people who have said, we've got our first child going away to college, and it feels like we really want to connect as a couple before that happens. So there are a ton of reasons why summer is actually a really great reason for someone to do an intensive, and that's a part of what we're going to include in our marketing. So, step one to be thinking about marketing your therapy intensives, let me know in the comments, what are you currently doing to market them if they're currently a part of your service? Are you doing anything on social media? Are you having a page listed on your website? Are you networking with other people? Like, what are you currently doing if you're currently doing intensives? What's working for you? Maybe what's not working for you. So let's start with even some of those ideas. So not everyone's about social media marketing. That is totally okay. And it is a revenue where you can do some of that marketing. If it's a reel, if it's a post, if it's just something where you're mentioning, again, those pain points of summer's coming up and you might have these events coming up, like here's this style of therapy that might actually be really helpful for you, then great, right? You're just like spreading the word, you're putting it out there. With social media marketing, you can essentially be as active or as inactive as you want when it comes to marketing a specific service. So that is an option to do. You can say, here's the service that I'm offering, here's why it is the perfect time, right? Why summer is the perfect time to be doing a therapy intensive. Number two, coming back to networking with other professionals. I don't remember the specific order I put it in when I spit it out the first time, but that's okay. Marketing with other professionals. This is not just other therapists. This is anyone who works with not just your niche population, your target area, the thing that you specialize in, but anyone who has someone they feel stuck with. Like traditionally, the things I'm seeing a lot of people feeling stuck with, you're welcome, Tori, good to see you. What I see a lot of people get stuck with is psychiatrists, right? Psychiatrists who are doing all this work, all this medication management, and something is still not working. A psychiatrist has been one of the best people to refer to me for intensives. I think I've booked 3 different clients from one psychiatrist. So psychiatrists can be a place to market, or different like med spas can be great for people who really believe in alternative complementary forms of healing. They're going to see something that's not this traditional insurance-based model of therapy. Not that you can't incorporate it with an insurance. That's for a whole other topic though. But they are going to see this as, this is great, this is worth the cost, this sounds like exactly what I need, and they're going to be more interested in it. Even physical therapists, like physical therapy generally tends to be covered by insurance, but there are a lot of physical therapists that get really stuck with, this physical thing. I don't think it's so physical. I think there's a psychological component to it. So reaching out to physical therapy offices, psychiatrist offices, any kind of services in town where you think your ideal client is kind of hanging out at. So identifying all those places, absolutely, when we think about this intensive model, when we think about who are the people who don't have time for therapy, who are the people who would benefit from doing a lot of work really fast, then we can start thinking about police departments, firefighting departments, anyone who works in like emergency services and care, like hospitals. I recently had someone reach out to me, someone who is like a case manager at an intensive outpatient program nearby, who said they were kind of looking for some step down care for people who have like already done the intensive outpatient service or even inpatient, but looking for something that's not quite weekly therapy because maybe that wouldn't quite be right. But, intensive therapy, that sounds like a great way to move from this intensive program to like a weekend intensive to then maybe more a weekly therapy. So there's lots of ideas, lots of places where people are already thinking about, I'm stuck, this person needs support, we don't have time for therapy. So be thinking about all those different ideas of where you can really put the word out there. And then I remembered what my actual number two was. It was your website. So I'm a big believer in your website. If it is covered with all the good SEO properties, if you are explaining the pain points around why does someone want to do an intensive, you will not have a hard time getting traffic for intensives and getting intensives booked. That is the primary way that I have people find me. Like I said, I have a psychiatrist that refers to me every now and then. I have a couple of colleagues I did my training with who will refer to me every now and then. But 80+% of the people I see for a therapy intensive on my consultation intake form, I ask, how did you hear about me? They say Google. So clearly they found my website. So what you want to do if you don't already have this is two things. Number one, on your home page, you want to talk about these intensive services, right? Because if someone just sees it in the header, they're going to be kind of confused of like, that doesn't, if you call it like intensives or therapy intensive, they're not exactly going to know what that is. So they're probably going to skim past it thinking it's not relevant to them or it's for something else. But if you have it on your homepage to say, this is what that service is about, they'll at least be curious and they might click in and they might want to learn a little bit more. And then number two, obviously what that means is to have a whole page dedicated to therapy intensives, because this is going to be the place where you get to talk about, here are all the reasons why this is perfect for you. And you can even tweak it a little bit. I always recommend having like a baseline version that you're always going to use, especially if you're thinking about tweaking like a Psychology Today kind of stuff. I have multiple versions of a Psychology Today profile saved in my Google Docs. So you can think about altering your copy on that page to be summer specific, right? Like you're getting everyone ready to go off to summer camp or school or something like that. Here's why this is the perfect time for your therapy intensives. You're thinking about traveling, but you know that now therapy is going to take a backseat to your travels. How about you do a therapy intensive before you go on your travels? So you can tweak the copy a little bit so that it's really capturing like the seasonal aspect of why this is the perfect time to do a therapy intensive. A question that came in of, do you ask why they were attracted to the intensive offering aside from resonating with the website description? Yes, absolutely. So a lot of times, so number one, to back up, in my EHR on my online booking calendar, I use Jane. I can put separate categories for like, is this a consultation for weekly therapy or is this a consultation for an intensive? So regardless of what someone books, I'm going to be talking about intensives. But if they're specifically booking that consultation for intensives, then I'm asking questions about like, what about this resonated with you? Did you have questions about it? And a lot of people will say, everything you wrote on that web page seemed like exactly what I needed. I have been frustrated. I have felt stuck in therapy. I do just prefer to process my trauma, work on my anxiety, whatever it is, in this kind of deep dive. And so it's really helpful to know from that market research perspective, is the content, the copy that you're putting out there on your website, are those actually the pain points or is it something different? So for me, I know that a lot of people have been like, that really resonated. That was exactly what I was thinking about. And so that's great. It means I don't have to keep tweaking my copy. But to this point of to beat the summer slump that therapists can kind of encounter at times, again, right? If you are putting copy that really, really resonates with people in the sense of here's why summer is the best time to do this, you're probably going to get the same kind of conversations that I do about like, yeah, I was feeling like I don't have time for therapy and might as well wait till fall, but then I had to wait through all the wait lists. But this service that you're offering sounds really cool and it sounds like a way around that. So that can be a really, really great way to market it. So again, whether it's on your website, in any social copy, in any networking events that you're going to for therapists or other professionals, posting in other local therapist Facebook groups about, hey, here's this service. Hey, I'm offering adjunct therapy for anyone who's feeling stuck with their clients and may not be trained in XYZ modality, or maybe you do individuals but not couples, and I offer couples. You just have a lot of options for how to put the word out there. So I'm going to encourage you to at least go and update your website, update a web page. Some people have created flyers around what is an intensive, why would I want to do it, why is this the best time for it? Again, to really tweak in and market this aspect of the summer. How do we put more in the summer? Summer has been actually the busiest time for me for intensives. And I think that's because people feel so busy with like fall and winter feels like it's about a lot of like holidays. And for those people who are parents, they're, navigating school and all of that. Spring tends to be, at least here in Oregon, people are so like, let's get outdoors and let's work on our gardens and stuff like that. So like summer is still kind of that, but it's also a time where people feel like, okay, I've also got to get my stuff together. I've got to get in therapy. I've got to do this deep dive, do this work. I'm trying to work on myself because I know I feel better with the sun's out, but I also know I've still got all this stuff that I haven't addressed. And so, one thing that you can think about, I know that there's a lot of different opinions about it, but when it comes to your pricing, if you've heard me talk before, either in Facebook, on Instagram, if we've had a one-on-one chat, I am always encouraging people to charge a percentage above your hourly rate for these intensive services because they are intensive for the client and they are intensive for you as well. So one thing you can think about, if you do charge a percentage above, I've done 20 to 50% depending on if it's a weekday or a weekend. One thing you could do is like, here's a summer sale, right? If you already do like 20% above for your intensive rate, your summer sale can be 10% off for all intensives booked during Memorial Week or whatever. So technically, then you're only making 10% above, but it is a tactic, right? All marketing tactics are, you get to choose what you do, right? Some people are like, I really want to honor my price and I don't want to go below that. I absolutely respect that. Some people are like, I'm going to be making more money either way, so I'm okay with making 10% more instead of 20% more. So it is a strategy that you can use. I know myself, if I see something go on sale, I'm going to be like, ooh, I should do this now while it's on sale. And, then I'm more likely to buy something, commit to something, whatever that might be. So there are also clients out there who will feel the same. Obviously, you would want to be respectful and boundaried around. Just because you might have like a summer sale on an intensive package doesn't mean you necessarily should be expected to discount your traditional like hourly weekly rate. So another question of, I've heard therapy intensives for trauma, which makes sense. I'm not sure how it could apply to my niche, which is working with moms struggling with anxiety and relationship struggles. Awesome. Yes. So I think therapy intensives can be applied to anything. I think if you are a therapist, you've probably seen a lot of trauma therapists talking about intensives. Like it makes a lot of sense. A lot of the modalities for trauma, like EMDR, brain spotting, even accelerated resolution therapy, a lot of them kind of say like the best way to do this is 90 minutes or even 2 hours. So a lot of us who are trauma therapists have kind of already been planted a seed around, hey, maybe I do extended therapy sessions, even like internal family systems. But anyone can benefit from an extended therapy session. When it comes to when I'm talking about, I know my therapist uses IFS and some brain spotting and stuff like that, but I do 90-minute sessions because I just like more time to get into things and to settle into things. And a lot of what I talk about is anxiety and relationship struggles. So it doesn't have to be only for trauma. It's just having that sense of having more space, having more time to slow down. Because especially for those of us with anxiety, what do? We go, 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 go in our thoughts, right? And a lot of clients have struggles with settling into the therapeutic space. And then, it might take some time to settle. And then all of a sudden, you've got 10 minutes left. And it's like, well, we don't have time to get into that today. Let's get to it next time. And then the next time comes and something else came up. So, really, I truly and genuinely believe anyone for any niche can benefit from just time to slow down and talk through things. Kirsten asked a question about, is it considered ethical for social workers? Are you asking about the intensives or about the pricing or the pricing discount or the pricing like increase? I think either way, like the word ethical is used in a lot of different ways in our field and in our work. Ultimately, I believe ethics is all around informed consent. So being as transparent as possible about why you're doing what you're doing. But there is nothing that is like inherently unethical around setting different fees, whether that's going up or going down. I always believe clients are going to make decisions based on what works for them or not, right? What is affordable to one person is very different to other people. And I've known a lot of people who have leveraged these premium fee therapy intensives as actually a way to give back more. So if I can do a high ticket therapy intensive, let's say for like $2,000, $3,000, then that actually opens up space for me to take on another pro bono client. Or that opens up space for me to donate some money to a mental health fund that I care about. Or that opens up space for me to volunteer more time or whatever that is. Yeah, absolutely. Again, when it comes to ethics, you're going to have people having opinions about it. But I always think about do what works for you unless you are actively harming your clients, you know, don't do that. So be very transparent around why you're doing what you're doing. I have had clients ask questions about the pricing of like, why is it different from like your regularly hourly fee? And then as I explain, because I'm cutting out more time in my schedule, because I'm doing more prep work, because I want to really protect and pay attention to just you and our time together, they're like, oh, that makes sense. And also, I've helped people do the math of if we can get you feeling better in 3 hours in like half a day, how much would you have been spending trying to be in weekly therapy focused in that type of way? And how long would that actually cost you? People actually save money with intensives. So that is pretty like inherently true. So yes, it might be a higher price upfront, but that's where a lot of people can work with payment plans or various things to just make it more affordable. So yes, I understand some people are going to be judgy about when you do like a higher ticket therapy offering pricing, but as long as you're doing good work, don't worry about it. It's usually other people that just have opinions on stuff. How do intensives work when clients are submitting super bills for reimbursement? Great question. So ultimately, we can never really guarantee that someone will be reimbursed, but I've had many successes with this with my clients who do have out of network benefits. They will at least be reimbursed for 1 hour of a therapy session. So if I do like 3 hours in a day, the client's reimbursed for what their insurance plan will reimburse for an hour. So it may not always be the exact amount, but at least 1 hour they'll get reimbursed for, depending on where they are at with their deductible and their out of pocket maximum. I've had a client, we did an intensive that was, her charge was $3,000 and she got reimbursed like 45% of it. So almost $1,500 because she'd already met her deductible and she'd already met her out of pocket maximum because she does a lot about out of network care. So again, these are also things that can be the sticker price can scare some people away. The sticker price can make some therapists nervous about can clients afford this, but people get creative, people see the value in it. People do have some pretty good out of network benefits, those who do, and will make this work. So, lots of different ways that, again, you can make it pretty financially accessible and affordable to a lot of people. And again, you might choose, I've seen a lot of people even offer intensives for those who can't traditionally afford it because it's essentially a way of doing like short-term work, right? If I can do short-term work with someone in 3 hours and get them significantly faster than they might normally be, then great, right? Like you have done a service to someone. Let's see. I've done a 3 hour before regularly not resolved things. Yes, because there's complex cases and it depends all the time. So I think it's really about expectation management when it comes to the intensives. If we're telling people this is going to fix things, we're going to wipe out and clear all the stuff that you've ever been struggling with. right? Like obviously that's not realistic. Like it happens sometimes, but it's not the standard by any means because a lot of us have dissociative parts or distracting parts or avoidance parts, and that's fine and we can work with that. And so a lot of what I'm doing in managing expectations is to be telling people, this is what I've traditionally seen. Sometimes stuff comes up. We'll never know until we really like get in there and try and see what can we get out of it and how can this be helpful for you and your brain and how you process. But either way, all we are doing is having an accelerated format for therapy. Now, accelerated might mean resolution of a lot of stuff, significant relief from a lot of stuff. Resolution might, or accelerated therapy might also mean, oh, we learned a lot more about like how complex things are, and so we might actually need to tweak your traditional like weekly therapy treatment plan. So it makes sense to feel like disappointed in yourself, not because of your skills, but just because you want it to be a win. And yeah, it feels challenging, but I have had I have never had someone say like this was a waste of time or this was a waste of money, even if they didn't get their like desired outcome. They've been like, no, that makes sense. Like, yep, I knew that that was there. Like, I maybe can't afford to keep doing the intensive, so I might just need to go back to like a weekly therapy model. It's like, okay, then that's fine. Right? Like, I'm glad that we tried this. I'm glad that we figured out these things of what does work for your brain and body, what feels safe, and maybe what doesn't. So, if anything, it's just more around like managing our own anxiety of like, yeah, it never feels good when it doesn't have like a pretty bow on the end of everything, but managing expectations, managing our own anxieties and our high achieving perfectionistic selves when those show up too. And it is definitely still saving them time. Absolutely. For them to figure out and identify what's really going on here instead of, again, weekly therapy, 50-ish minute sessions. It might take them a while to realize how quickly they have some parts that try to like protect from processing deeper anxieties or pains. And yep, you would definitely be able to yeah, you would definitely, sorry, I got distracted by a comment. You're definitely going to be able to get more information around how to alter a treatment plan moving forward. And then when you submit a super bill to the insurance, depends on what the session is that you booked. If you do just do one, like I, for example, the most frequent thing I do is 2 days of 3 hours. So that'll show two different dates and 3 hours. So I do show the dates on it. What I have, I coded my appointments a little bit differently so that instead of just like therapy session, what I say is like 3 hour intensive therapy session. So they see like 12:17, 3 hour therapy session, 12:18, 3 hour therapy session, and then it shows the price for that. Let's see. Do you integrate the SSP, so the Safe and Sound Protocol, brain spotting, and EMDR intensives? And do you find that to be helpful? Yes, I love all of those modalities. That's awesome that we do some similar things. Um, the Safe and Sound protocol, sometimes I've had people do that before we get into the intensive processing. Sometimes yep, and parts work. Sometimes I've had people do it after their processing as a way to just kind of like settle and let some things integrate and sink in. So my training in brain spotting and EMDR, I find those really helpful to kind of like move pretty fluidly throughout the intensive. Like we might go in thinking like, oh, I think brain spotting is going to be a great fit for you, and then we might learn like you need your brain, your way of processing, you need a little bit more structure. Let's move into EMDR for like an hour. Let's see how that goes, and then maybe we're switching and transitioning to other things. So I have found it helpful to have multiple ways of working with people because that gives me a lot more confidence of like, okay, even when we get stuck in something, which again was bound to happen at some point, you're gonna hit some kind of stuck point because this is new for people, right? To have more than an hour of therapy. And so some people will hit a wall, and that's okay because then we can pivot. I was actually just talking with another therapist today for those who know brain spotting and even EMDR, I think this would apply to that as well. Um, you could still be working with the same topic, and then in the middle of an intensive, switch up like the setup or the protocol because you might realize this actually isn't helping the person process as easily. This person might benefit from like this setup, this protocol a little bit more. So that's where it feels really cool to be like creative when you get stuck, as opposed to like, well, shoot, I'm stuck, but we've got 2 minutes left, so I guess we should wrap up. So I think it's cool to have like, yeah, multiple trainings, multiple ways to kind of approach everything. And coming back to this marketing component, I think that's what you really want to emphasize. All those things, not just around your training and why you're trained in these cool protocols and modalities that can really help them get unstuck, but the fact that you can say, this is the place to actually like get stuck and we can work and push through it, as opposed to you feeling like, here I am again, just getting stuck in therapy and week by week feeling like, what am I even doing here? Right? Like, hit that pain point of, yes, you're frustrated. Yes, you want to see movement. Yes, you want to do something different that's going to actually help you overcome that stuck place. And therapy intensives are it. So, those are really great ways to market all of it. And again, like I go back to thinking for myself, what do I like about being in um, I call it the difference between like a therapy intensive versus like working intensively in therapy. So what do I like about working intensively in therapy? I do feel like I can cover more content. I do feel like I can do a deeper dive. I do feel like I can actually settle into some work and actually do some really good work there. So yes, lots of different ideas. Ultimately, some things to think about is going and updating your website. So have it on your homepage, have it as a separate page, service page where you can talk more about it. Even go update your psychology today, right? I know you don't get you get characters, you don't get unlimited word count, but it can still be a really helpful place to market. Like, hey, you're going on vacation soon, and you want to make sure you get some therapy in real quick. How about a therapy intensive? I have had people find me on Psychology Today, and I've converted them into therapy intensives. So, absolutely. Tori, I also use Jane and could use some guidance on setting it up for intensives. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk with you about that because there's some different coding options I've done. There's ways you can automate the paperwork, like what informed consent forms and things like that. Um, go together for specific, like your intensives versus your weekly sessions. So feel free to message me right now or as we sign off from the live here shortly. And then we can set up a time and I can guide you through that. And then, yes, there will be a recording of this. It'll be uploaded. Usually it takes like 10, 15 minutes after the live ends. So you can go back and watch the beginning, Roxana. So, booking intensives this summer. So, go update your website, go update your psychology today. If you want to do any kind of like time limited offerings in terms of like book now and save X%, you can totally explore that if you want to see just kind of how that works. You can also, generally, a helpful marketing strategy is to be thinking about a sense of urgency and a sense of scarcity. And so, even if you are feeling like, oh no, the summer slump is coming, all of my clients are going, I'm only seeing 2 clients this week, you can still say, right, that what intensives offer is ultimately someone the ability to skip traditional wait lists for that weekly therapy, to get in and be seen ASAP, and that you have limited slots for them. Because unless your schedule is like totally wide open, you may only have like a time or two in a week or even in a month where you have like 3 hours set aside. So to be able to say, like, I've got an opening for a therapy intensive next week. Let's work through what you could cover in a month of therapy in half a day. Like, that is a powerful thing for people to see of like, yeah, I don't have time for weekly therapy this summer, but I can work through that in half a day. Great, sign me up. So go update your websites, do anything on social media if you do things on social media, Psychology Today. Um, and yeah, good luck with getting some things booked this summer. I really do think if you are putting the word out there, people will come. People will see this as something that is exactly the thing that they've been looking for that they just didn't know existed because this is new for clients to know about as well. Some people know about it and so they're Googling it. And that's why you want to think about your SEO, your search engine optimization, and putting that all up in your website. If you don't know how to do that, that is a thing that I support a lot of therapists with. I make it real simple. I break it down so that you know exactly what you're doing and you can feel like a master in that. So We'll leave it open for a few more minutes in case there are any last questions. But otherwise, I appreciate those of you who were able to make it live. Thanks for asking really cool questions to, yeah, kind of get the conversation flowing a little bit more about all the different intricacies around marketing and pricing and niches and all that stuff. So I'll leave it open maybe another minute to see if some questions come through. I know if we're typing with thumbs or even keyboards, it can take a second. But otherwise, yeah, if you were here live, thank you so much. If you catch the recording, feel free to message me afterwards and let me know if there's any other supports that I can help you with when it comes to marketing intensives, putting together the copy on your website for intensives. All of that is stuff that I provide therapist support with. I don't see any questions coming through, so I'm going to go ahead and end the live. And again, recording will be up in just a moment. It just needs time to like consolidate and kind of pull up. Do I do mostly virtual or in-person intensives? I do, it's probably pretty 50-50. Sometimes it's more virtual, actually, because I'm licensed in two states, and some people don't want to make the drive down from Washington to Oregon. So I've done quite a bit of virtual intensives. I don't market them differently outside of my website will say like online or in-person intensives. The one of the most question one of the questions I get most frequently asked by a client is there a difference? Like I want to do the intensive, is there a difference between if I do it virtually versus in person? And my experience has been no. All right, a lot of times I will even tell people because it's true. A lot of people prefer to do it virtually because they get to be in their environment where they've got maybe a pet, they've got their safe kind of items, they've got their favorite blankets. Obviously, they're welcome to bring those to my in-person office, but there are a lot of people who feel really good doing it in the comfort of their own space. So, yeah, these can absolutely work virtually if you're someone who's like, I love working virtually. I don't know if I want to do it in person. Then great, just market them virtually. If you do them in person because people want in person, that's again where I encourage higher fees associated with that because I still prefer a lot of virtual stuff. I know there's demand for in person, so that means I have to rent an office. That means I'm leaving my home when now I can't. I probably could wear my sweatpants in person, but I don't prefer to. I'm probably putting on jeans, and yeah, so then that's where I'm typically charging my 50% above the hourly rate because that's my Friday through Sunday is when I have access to an office. So I'm motivated to put on jeans and get out of my house and go to an office when people are paying at the 50% rate. But you do what works for you. Again, you do not have to do even that much of a differential between your percentages. I just encourage you to think about again. This is also intensive work for you as the therapist. So take care of yourself. I know you hear a lot of like, charge what you're worth. I don't think there will ever be a number that is what you are worth. I want you to charge what makes you happy, what makes you motivated, what makes you excited to again get out of sweatpants and go to the office or do whatever it is that you do to even sign on for a therapy on the weekend or evenings or whatever that is. So, yes, point being, they work virtually, they work in person. I don't specifically market them differently, but just expect clients might ask a question about it in terms of if there's any benefit one way or another, especially if you do modalities that might require some like tools. You might provide some like education, like EMDR. I know there's different ways to do that virtually that you might do it differently when you're in person. Um, if there's like art therapy, sand tray therapy, again, some of those things might be different, but if you know how to prepare for it, you know how to prep your client for it. So that was the only question I saw come in. So again, feel free to leave questions on the recording if you have them. But otherwise, yes, I love doing brain spotting virtually too. I was trained virtually, so sometimes I do it in person. And I'm like, I don't know how to track if this thing is moving or not. Um, so yeah, I appreciate you all coming here live and making this a fun time. I had a fun doing this. So yeah, if you have any questions, I always will offer to look at people's like websites if you want some feedback on like the copy that you're writing. I'm happy to take a quick skim over that or give you any advice around a social media post or things like that. I've offered to like collaborate with people on social posts before, so let me know how I can support you. Feel free to leave a comment or a DM. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and end the live now. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. I hope you have a good rest of your day, rest of your week. I hope you're taking a long weekend this weekend because it is Memorial Day on Monday. I'll be traveling to Greece this Saturday for the All Things Private Practice Leadership Retreat, which I am super, super excited for. So, thank you all. Thanks so much for being here. Take care. Bye.